What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. This conversation wouldn't even be necessary if we lived in a time where we allowed ourselves to be bored and sit with ourselves. But since all of us are addicted to our devices and distractions and screens, since we do nothing but consume from the minute we wake up to the minute we go to sleep, unless you have some guardrails and rules set up for yourselves to eliminate that, like not taking your phone in the bathroom in the morning, chances are you need to have this discussion. Because when you are not sitting with yourself, you are not sitting with your pain. You are not sitting with your problems. You are not sitting with your perspectives. And then so don't be surprised when you are not sitting with your progress. And what I wanted to talk about today specifically is how sitting with yourself and allowing for these moments of boredom don't need to be large chunks of dedicated time either. How not only can you, but the better strategy is to sit with yourself as needed, sporadically, spontaneously sitting with your pain. I'm talking about this as someone who struggles with this severely, who has made a living out of silencing his emotions and killing his heart. And as I can reflect on times when I felt most connected to myself, and as I am regaining the ability to do so again, I came to this realization. Because as I see myself not being able to sit with myself, like even when I step away from my desk for 5 minutes to go make a drink or use the bathroom, I tend to put something on my headphones to listen to while I walk around. It's almost like the silence leaves me alone with myself, and it brings up all these different things that I don't want to deal with. Arthur Brooks calls this your default mode network and says how even the few seconds or minutes while we have no activity, like even 15 seconds waiting for the light to turn green to cross the street, our default mode network turns on. And we're so uncomfortable with all that existential angst that it comes with that we swiftly reach for our phones to preoccupy ourselves away from this. That even a few minutes of boredom are necessary because they make us have to deal with these deeper questions we tend to ignore. And there's good reason for why we ignore them, because they're uncomfortable and often don't have a quick meaning or resolution that we can deduce and remind us of all the work that we need to do on ourselves. And who voluntarily wants to do that and be reminded of it? Especially when a mindless scroll of social media is a quick pickup away and can numb us away from the reality of our lives, which is the exact human tendency that these billion-dollar companies target. They know we don't want to sit with ourselves, and how that means views and engagements and purchases for them. The thing I realized, though, that the hack was for me in trying to get better at this again, because if I told you to be like Naval and sit for an hour with yourself every morning, you might find it so painful at first, especially in the beginning when all the things you have been ignoring come rushing back into this small window of time, that I realized to apply something I learned when trying to teach myself to play the guitar. That if you expect to learn to play the guitar, or any skill for that matter, anything new, by thinking that you will carve out and dedicate 1 hour blocks of time and build it into your life, and that somehow becomes a rigid standard or requirement that you impose on yourself, then chances are you will never really learn to play the guitar. The way I taught myself to play the guitar was by keeping it so handy and available next to me that every time I had a 5-minute break, or a 10-minute window between calls or work, or a 15-minute waiting period while my girl was getting ready, or my ride was about to come pick me up, I picked up the guitar. Literally, it was the sporadic pickups of the guitar that allowed me to build a skill. The same way you sporadically pick up your phone, but that time ends up going into a black hole with no skill development or knowledge. I mean, think about the last time you picked up your phone. Do you even remember the 15 minutes or 1 hour worth of scrolling? Did it leave much of an impression on you? Chances are it was just mindless. Instead, you could have done something else, like sitting with yourself. What I realized, especially in this context of boredom and processing the internal dialogues, is that not only is it necessary to meet it sporadically because these things come up sporadically, but it's also better to do so because the reality of your internal narrative is that it's constantly shifting and coming up and popping up at different times. So it's not like you can sit for 1 hour and tackle all the things that come up throughout the day. So it's almost better that as the angst comes up spontaneously, as you find yourself in that bit of stress, that you breathe, or you find yourself wanting to reach for your phone, not even knowing why, but knowing that it's most likely numbing away something that you should sit with instead. Try and build in a rule to pause instead and breathe. Like just simply asking yourself before you pick up your phone what it is that you were hoping to just look at on the phone. What were you trying to accomplish that you didn't just look at in the last 30 times that you picked it up? Just simply stopping for 1 second and not picking up that phone and letting the inner feelings bubble to the surface so they can speak to you and give you the information that they're trying to give you. Just meeting those feelings sporadically and spontaneously as they come up will make you so much more of a durable and present human being. You will actually experience so much more of life when you let the silent moments, not hours, just moments, be allowed to be felt, to be present for. I also thought about how necessary this is for the full experiencing of life, because I have been around people I love and have seen myself be this person who might appear pleasant on the surface, but is full of inner turmoil. You can see it in a person's eyes. Without you making the time for yourself to process your thoughts, your pain, you might still be a pleasant person to be around, but not present. There's a lifelessness to you, a lifelessness in your eyes, almost as if you don't see things, you see through them, like you aren't fully there, because you aren't. You're disassociated from the present moment. And you've strung together so many disassociated present moments in the past that when you are actually in attendance in front of someone, only half of you is in attendance. Just you there physically. Half of you is missing because it was never attended to by you. And my main takeaway here is that you need to be willing to sit with yourself, to sit with your thoughts, to sit with your pain as spontaneously, as sporadically as it is necessary to do so. That doesn't mean you let it derail your day or stop work or miss game time, but try not to fill up those 10-minute blocks that your distractions steal away from you. Because presence isn't something you can harness with intensity. Instead, it's a softening into the moment, a willingness to slow down and look around when there's seemingly no reason to do so, and to not fill up the air with noise so you can really breathe. And eventually, your present will be pleasant. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.